just tell you a little bit about the meetup. We've been doing this meetup for almost 2 years now. Started January 2011, and I've actually been running it on my own for most of that time. Every once in a while I'll get a sponsor, but we've almost got 2,000 people in the group, so I've been trying to make it a little bit more formalized and get some speakers and all that sort of thing. But the main reason I started it was for networking, because you can't have a business without the creative, the design, the accountant, the lawyer, the the ideas guy, the VC, or whatever type of funding you get. So I thought it would be a great idea to meet people like that, because I have about 100 startup ideas that I want to get off the ground. But if I get one, to even come half to life, then I'm happy. Which I've done, and it's been through meeting people through networking events and such. So my background is I'm a marketing guy. I'm a digital strategy director at an agency, so I know brand, social, but like global strategy, social. I can do the Facebook stuff too, but I think they've got community managers for that now. But thank you for coming. This night is most about you guys to get to know each other, but it's also about Pankaj and Mobile Authentication, who was kind enough to buy all those lovely drinks that you're drinking tonight.
Thank you.
So these are the, and we are looking for sponsors, and a sponsorship to us basically means buying a round of drinks as Pankaj did. And if you do that, we'll work with you. We have this venue every month till June, so it's a good place. We can usually get a good crowd of this, give or take, 10, 15 people. So we're always up for that. But without further ado, I'll leave it to, well, actually I do have one more person to introduce. We have Sunshine Productions in the back who do mobile streaming of events. So if you guys need anything to do with video and mobile streaming, say hello.
Hello.
Please go see the gentleman who is going to be recording, so if you walk in front of him, he will record you. So without further ado, we'll leave it to Pankaj to tell us more about mobile authentication. And if you guys have a few quid and you want to invest, if you haven't heard of Seeders, it's kind of like Kickstarter, but you're actually buying equity in a company. So he's listed on Seeders, and you can invest on Seeders for as little as 10 quid. So mobile authentication is on Seeders, and if you want to own a small part of it, log on to Seeders and grab your stuff. Peace. All right, but I'll leave it to Pankaj.
Thanks, Luis. Is it working? Oh, yeah. First of all, thank you for coming in. And it's I must say it's a great honor to be standing at this venue, because this is a company I respect and I love a lot. And standing here in front of a crowd like this, where I know most of you guys actually create a lot of value, into people's everyday lives, with a lot of startups, innovations happen. And it's really an honor for me to be standing here in front of you guys in this venue and presenting something here, because I know whether or not this idea is good, but the fact that you guys would be able to give me feedback after I finish is worth far more than anything else I could imagine from a group like this. But before I start, I would like to tell you a little story. Sometimes when you go to New York, you see there are beggars sitting on the street, right? Have you seen beggars in America? So in New York there are sometimes. And you see anything common between most of those beggars have in America? No, not dog is only sometimes. That if they're in a women sort of event, but usually they have a big cardboard, So they just stand there both for free or both for food or whatever. And so there's this one guy going to Wall Street every day in that street, and he's watching these people, and he never gives them any money. But one of these days, he sees something unusual. He sees somebody with a suit and tie standing there with that same cardboard, right? And there is a secretary, very well suited secretary standing next to him, It's he's shocked. What is going on? And he has all these $10 bills in front of him, And he's wondering what is going on here. So, does seem like a beggar, but doesn't seem like a beggar. Something's not right. He says, what is going on? He says, look at the sign. So he reads the sign. He says, but what's going on? He says, I can tell you a trick for you to become super rich in very short time trick. Wow, can you do that? Yeah. So, and it's going to only cost you $10. So now, risk and reward, right? You spend $10, and if you don't become rich, who cares, you know? And then if you do become rich, why wouldn't you? Why would you take such a small risk, right? So he does that. He takes the $10 out and gives it to him. And there is a pile of $10 bills in front of him, right? He just throws it there and says, like, okay, how do I become rich? He says, take a placard like this and stand in the next street. And you know what is written on that placard? I guess you guys know already. How to become rich in $10. Technique to become rich in $10. So everyone can have a placard. I'll make you rich. And you can see that happening every single time. You know, attend one of those business conferences. You attend a lot of these public speakers. You attend some of these conferences run by like so-called business gurus or the marketing folks, people who supposedly know how to run business. You see that, what do they do? They get the people worked up, you know, just like very, very perfectly managed stage show, which this is not, by the way, it's all impromptu, because I wanted to show you guys that anyone can do this, whatever those guys do, even without preparation, something that those people take years to perfect. They just jump up and down the stage, get people worked up, have a few things like scripts lined up, and then they imagine that they become the biggest speakers in the world. And at the end of the whole speech, what do? You just pay them a few £1,000, and then they give you some silly thing like 1 day worth of training, and with a dream that if you take that training, you pay them a few £1,000, you'll become rich. You'll become rich. Is that what it is? Is that how you become rich? So, just because, let's say I'm a developer, right? The reason I wore my suit today? Because every time I tell them that I wrote this program, what do people assume? Oh, I can't run a business, I can't speak, I can't do marketing, I don't know anything about finance. Come on, you look at most of the biggest values, biggest companies in the world, the companies that have created the biggest values, the Microsoft, the Apple, the Google, you know, the company we are standing, the campus we are standing in. They were all created by technical people like me. And you tell me, how many of the biggest and the most important companies in the world were created by some of those public speakers and the marketing folks? Hardly any. Hardly any. And so essentially, I wanted to say that before I start this, simply because I wanted to show that it's whatever those guys do, anyone can learn that. If they jump up and down the stage, I can. They have all these choreographers, you know, putting their stage shows together. I just came here, impromptu. So, but what I'm going to show you today, all those guys put together cannot do that. Because this is about substance, not fluff. This is purely about substance and value, not fluff. It's about a new technology. Again, please pardon me if you see that something like this exists, because last 3 years I've been just sitting in my room, coding and searching on Google. So you guys are far more knowledgeable about these topics than I am. So if you think something like this exists, I would gladly take your feedback and figure out like how can I compete with those companies. But if there is nothing, that's great. That means it's a great idea and it's unique. So it's about providing mobile authentication. Now I must say that the name doesn't sound right, but it's the name of the technology, not necessarily the name of the website, not necessarily the name of the company that it would be launched with. So company doesn't exist yet. It would be launched once the funding is completed so that the people can get the tax credit through SEIS scheme. It's about, it's a technology which allows context-based services based on people's identity and location. Now, what does that mean? Let's talk about first, what is it that we are trying to solve? What is the problem? On one hand, you have a situation where you have too many passwords. and too many websites. I mean, I'm a programmer, right? So while doing coding, I end up like maybe I don't know, 50, 100 sites which I log on to regularly, and I struggle to keep track of all those passwords. I have to keep reminding myself again and again. Lots of credit cards, and not only credit cards, we're talking about access cards. Every building you go to, library, every single place you have a different card. And even beyond that, there is a problem, bigger problem, that right now, every single business is moving towards mobile apps. So you end up with a lot of apps. And how many apps can you possibly download on your phone? How many apps can you possibly use? Because there is a, first of all, limitation on how many apps you can download just because of the sheer size, like the memory and RAM and hard disk in your phone. And secondly, even if, let's say, just imagine a scenario. Right now what is happening is almost every business you go to, restaurant, retail store, every single business is trying to create their own mobile app. If, imagine you go to 15 restaurants, 10 different stores, and let's say 15 different online stores, every single one of them created their own app. Would you be able to download every single one of them and know which one to use and to be able to even search for all those apps? The way this whole technology is being managed is becoming unmanageable. So what is the solution? Solution is what we are trying to do right now, that what if you had a universal pass, and based on that universal pass you could unlock services based on your location. So one app could take care of everything. That's theoretical. That's the theory behind. But is it even possible? Can you do something like that? And if at all you do, how would it work? Example would be, you could have different consumer service in each different location. So let's say you look at a particular map. You may have different businesses around you. You may have a retail store, a sports shop. You may have a couple of restaurants. So you may have all these different businesses around you. And each of them have their own set of workflows, their own set of services that they offer. What if you could have an app which could modify its behavior depending on that context and the location? So, which means if you go to a retail store, you could, scan and shop using your own mobile phone. Or if you're in a restaurant, you could order and pay without calling the waiter. It's not that hard because you could simply detect based on geolocation where you are and the context. So the combination of the context and location and what sort of services you prefer or you have signed up for would modify the behavior of your app to give you different services. As an example, in a restaurant, you found the restaurant you want to go to, and waiter seated you there at your table, and let's say a nice luxury restaurant, so they have a card with a QR code in it, and you scan. So that provides the context. That QR code is the context, and geolocation is the location. And through that, once you scan that QR code using your mobile, what happens? You know where that person is and what that person is trying to do. So you have all the information for your app to modify its behavior. What you get is, as an example, as soon as you scan that QR code, you get the menu of that particular restaurant on your phone in its own format. So every restaurant could have their own look and feel, different menu. You know which menu to pick up. And then people can order without calling the waiter using their own phone. And once that order has been placed, there can be so many possibilities. Because this is a customizable solution, every restaurant could have its own workflow, which means different restaurants could have different order processes. So this could be, there would be a, let's say, a tablet in the kitchen area, so where the chef would get all these orders to be processed. And then there could be communication saying that, okay, this is how long it will take for your order to be processed or for your food to arrive, so that people are informed. And once that happens, or you could even have other workflows where once someone orders something, chef may say that, oh, with this particular dish, we have this special that will go very well with it. Would you like it? So there is a two-way interaction that can happen. And then the waiter brings the food. And once the people have finished eating, they would basically, again, have an option to pay using the same app or again call the waiter to pay. So again, now when you look at this kind of workflow, what we are doing is, it's not just a simple app for like sending messages or tweets or just payment. Because the way I look at it is, payment is nothing because I got credit cards, why should I take my mobile phone out? You know, because I have to do the pin and all, it's much harder than credit card. So this doesn't make sense. On the other hand, what we are trying to do here is a business workflow. And how does it help? How does it make more sense than simply a payment app? Because what we are trying to do is, with a system like this, the restaurants become far more efficient. They need less manpower. They need less hardware and software to manage whatever their existing systems they have. So it reduces cost for them. At peak hours, people would spend less time per table, right? And so they can service more customers. So there is direct cost and revenue benefit for them. And on top of that, for people like who are in a hurry or who don't want to talk to waiters like me, they can use the app. They have an option available. And the best part is this particular system works independent of the existing hardware, software, and existing processes those people may have. So it's a choice, additional choice, that if some people want to use it, they have that choice. If they don't want to use it, they can still call the waiter and make that order. And those things would work as it is. So the risk to the businesses would be minimal. So this is just one example. Other example would be retail store. Basically you just walk into an aisle. Tesco has been rolling out a scan and shop system with specialized handheld device. Pretty much the same thing, but using your own mobile. So you could just scan all the barcodes on those items using your own phone, put them in your trolley, and before you walk out, press the button to pay without standing in the queues, and you walk out. So essentially, you have a different workflow, which again, the app knows based on your location and context what to do and what sort of workflow to present to you. And every store can have different process built in. So it would know which process to pick up. So it's completely customizable. Other examples, let's say access cards, completely things of the past. So let's say if you're going to office, you don't need to swipe your access card anymore. You could just scan the QR code, print it. And then you'll save a lot of cost because security tools, the access card management systems, the access hardware to read the access cards cost money. However small that might be, it costs money. This system would be much cheaper. A lot of people use specialized hardware devices for timesheet, attendance, a lot of manufacturing businesses do that. All of that is thing of the past. Online login and payment, you could just use your mobile phone to scan. So you just get a QR code, you scan it, you log in, and all the payment is done. So possibilities are unlimited. So here, what we are trying to say is, because it's customizable workflow, every single person can have there is no limit to what you can do with it. Imagination is the only limit. Every business can come up with their own different workflows that can be automated using this. So wherever you need certain services to be provided to people based on their identity, this can somehow fit in. So what is it that you would do possibly? There is no limit really. Now, what I'm doing here right now is two things. One is because it's a platform which can accommodate a lot of different services. One is I'm looking for startups where I would be able to help those startups launch very quickly. The way it would work is, if you have a great idea, you want some to do the development, you need to raise some seed funding to build the first system, right? If you're willing to use this platform to launch some of your services, if your services that you're planning to launch in your startup fit this platform, then I can have that development done at a very small fraction of what you would normally pay. Which means you could end up, instead of requiring whatever 50,000, 60,000, 100,000 pound in seed funding, you would need a small amount of cash and you would have your product up and running. What's the benefit you would get? Obviously you would need to raise smaller amount to get the development done. But you would be able to get the product out in market quickly because I've got the frameworks built. So building the new business processes on top of this framework is not going to be that hard. And also, as more and more, like the same thing that we discussed earlier. If you have too many apps, too many companies, too many businesses creating too many apps, how many apps would people download? But on the other hand, if you think something like this could work, then imagine more services we add to this particular app, this particular platform, the more successful collectively all the services would be. So you would get economy of scale with something like that. So that's one other thing. So if you guys have good ideas, you think something like this can work, you can contact me, and hopefully, who knows, you may be able to get your idea off the ground very quickly, with very, very small amount of cash. Second thing is, I'm looking at, little bit of funding as well. This particular startup is listed on Cedars as mobile authentication. So it's basically available for crowdfunding for any people who are registered on Cedars platform as investors. And any UK residents can register there. And also there is a Facebook page if you want to know more information. There are more videos and information as well, which is at facebook.com/mobile authentication. So this was the purpose of this meeting. And I will answer any questions you may have. But before that, I would like to invite Carl to the stage. I've met Carl a couple of times before I showed him this idea. And he immediately got bought on. So I would let him speak why and take it forward.
Hi, thank you, Pankaj. Forgive me, I'm not used to doing these kind of things. My background is architecture actually. I worked at a couple of companies, Knox, Halcrow, Grimshaw Architects, and through that experience I felt that there was a real problem within the industry of basically coordinating materials and components throughout the industry and how those get assembled on site. So I started thinking with a few of my colleagues and tried to simulate a team to try to develop some kind of system or some kind of technology that would allow us to do this. So I started seeking for developers and going through many of these guys who are, they often lock themselves in a room and don't really associate with the rest of the world. So what I really looked for was someone who had a bit of street cred, if you like. And actually, just randomly, I bumped into Pankaj here, and straight away I think there was a real opportunity here to work with someone who had real vision. And what I realized is actually the guy had some vision, and actually there was a lot of synergy between the things that he was talking and what we were looking to develop ourselves. So instead of effectively going down another route and trying to produce this ourselves independently, we thought, how could this technology itself be applied within multiple industries? So for instance here, this is one of the projects I worked on. This is Heathrow T2B2 in Heathrow with a company called Grimshaw Architects. If you don't know them, they were responsible for the Eden project. I was head of computational design unit for the London office. And there's so many components going into this building, and each have to be coordinated by the architect, the engineer, and the builder on site. And what I thought the potential would be amazing if the builder on site would effectively be able to coordinate a lot of these components. As you can see on this is another project in Polkovo Airport, which is in construction, that I worked on. And what you felt is that there's so many things going on in that building. How the heck does the guy know what goes where? So if there was a potential of having some coordination with some kind of barcode or scanning system that could actually identify each one of these components and effectively how they sit within the construction process itself, how much time could you save? How much money could you save? again, it doesn't have to necessarily be at the airport scale, but it could be at the sort of localized extension. It could be something like a backyard extension. So again, what we have here is a number of materials. When a builder walks in, he may not be so well versed in the number of material potentials. But if there was some way you could scan it, and that will effectively identify with what is required in the architect's building requirements, what would that mean and how much time you save? I don't know how many of you have actually been involved in the building of your own home or extension or anything as such, but they make a hell of a lot of mistakes. So this, in theory, would save you time and money. I've also myself set up a company called SkinGraph, which is dealing with parametric apparel generation. So what I'm interested in, or what the company I'm involved in is interested in, is developing personalized ID-centric technology that would effectively log you as an individual, track that, and coordinate that with material or generations of materials. So I can also see the potential of this being applied within that. And again, it's the whole concept of who are you and what potentials do you have using this technology? How can you yourself begin to control what you buy and effectively what you create as an individual? This is a perspective of myself, but I really believe that there's a great potential within this technology to be applied across a well-versed discipline. If that's effectively my position, and if I invite Pankaj back up to any questions or answers, please.
Yeah, thanks, Carl. As you can see, Carl has a real great design background, so he would be becoming part of the management team, and he would be taking care of a lot of the UI and design and possibly marketing as well. So this would be probably a good view. So to summarize, I just want to say that, quite a lot of times it's about being at the right place at the right time. A lot of people say that. What does it mean? How do we even know that this is the right place, this is the right time? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. I believe with this technology, the moment is right to launch this technology, because QR codes are just coming up, and there is nothing like this that exists that I've been able to find through Google searches. And so I believe I'm at the right place, right time. This is the right time to launch this technology, and it is going places. So question to be asked is, where would you be, let's say a few years from now? Would you be part of this team, or would you be part of this technology? So that's the note I would like to end it on.